The instant everyone grasped what I had done, the restaurant fell into a heavy silence. My friends had braced themselves for me to laugh it off, make a flimsy excuse, or slip out the back the moment I spotted the woman waiting at our table. But instead of any of that, I quietly pulled out the chair across from her, tears welling in several pairs of eyes as I offered a warm, genuine smile and treated her with the simple dignity that every human being deserves. What they did not know was that my reaction was not born of politeness or luck. It came straight from a painful chapter in my own life, one I had never breathed a word about to anyone. That unexpected blind date turned into the opening of a story that would change far more than just two lonely hearts. Before we go any further, if you believe that kindness holds more power than appearances, and that every person deserves a second chance at happiness, please take a moment to like this video, drop a comment, share it with someone who might need a little hope today, and subscribe to the channel for more emotional stories that remind us of what truly matters in this life. My name is Nathan, and I made my home in Columbus, Ohio, where life often drifted into a dull rhythm of work, quiet evenings, and the kind of polite smiles that mask a deeper loneliness. For years, my focus had been solely on my career as an architect, and my coworkers never missed a chance to tease me about getting back into the dating scene. Little did I know they had secretly arranged a blind date for me, convinced it would be a source of entertainment. They fully expected me to reject the woman the second I laid eyes on her. They never imagined just how wrong they would turn out to be. When I stepped into the restaurant, the first thing that caught my attention was a beautiful smile, long before I noticed anything else. Seated by the window was a woman named Grace, plus-sized and dressed with elegance in a soft blue dress, her gentle brown eyes holding years of disappointment, yet radiating a remarkable kindness. She rose nervously as I approached, clearly bracing herself for yet another painful rejection before the evening could even truly begin. Her hands trembled slightly as she greeted me, as if she had gone through this same heartbreak far too many times before. As we shared our dinner, something quite remarkable began to unfold. There was no awkward silence. Instead, we filled the time with laughter. There was no judgment. Instead, there was genuine curiosity. Grace spoke passionately about her work as a children's librarian, a role where she spent every day encouraging young readers to dream beyond their circumstances. She told me about the free reading programs she organized for struggling families, and how she spent her weekends collecting books for underfunded schools across Ohio. Every story she shared revealed a depth of compassion that could never be measured by outward appearance. Listening to her, I found myself thinking back to my younger sister, Sarah. Years earlier, after she had survived a serious illness, the medication she depended on caused a dramatic weight gain. I watched as strangers whispered behind her back, as friends drifted away, and even as some family members began treating her differently. The brightest soul I had ever known slowly started to believe she was unworthy of love, simply because society judged her body before it ever saw her heart. She passed away several years later from complications unrelated to her weight, but I never forgot how deeply those careless words had wounded her spirit. Looking across the table at Grace, I recognized that same guarded smile Sarah used to wear whenever she braced herself for rejection. Halfway through our meal, one of my coworkers accidentally let the truth slip. The blind date had never been a sincere attempt to help me find a connection. It had been organized as a cruel joke, with several people waiting nearby just to see how quickly I would walk away. The revelation hit everyone like a sudden, heavy storm. Grace quietly lowered her eyes, already steeling herself for yet another humiliating ending. But instead of walking out, I stood up, moved around the table, and gently took a seat beside her rather than across from her. I thanked her sincerely for spending her evening with me, and told everyone present that the only embarrassing thing happening in that restaurant was the way people judged another human being based on appearance rather than character. The room grew painfully quiet. Some people stared at the floor, while others wiped tears from their eyes. For the first time, many of them realized that what they had considered harmless entertainment had actually become someone's deepest emotional wound. From that evening forward, Grace and I continued to see each other. We explored parks all over Ohio, volunteered together at community food banks, wandered through bookstores, attended church events, and gradually discovered that our greatest joy came not from impressing anyone, but from serving others alongside each other. She encouraged me to become more patient, and I made it my mission to remind her daily that her worth had never depended on a number printed on a scale. Together, we learned that healing often begins when someone chooses to see the soul rather than just the surface. Months later, Grace made a decision not because anyone pressured her, but because she wanted to feel healthier. She would start taking better care of herself. I joined her every step of that journey. Some mornings, we celebrated small victories during peaceful walks around the neighborhood. Other weeks brought setbacks, frustration, and moments of discouragement. Yet unlike every painful experience she had endured before, this journey was never about changing herself to deserve love. It was about loving herself enough to pursue better health, all while already knowing she was valuable exactly as she was. A year later, our church hosted a community celebration where many of those same coworkers were in attendance. They were surprised, not because Grace looked different, but because the happiness between us was impossible to ignore. She radiated a confidence that had nothing to do with her appearance. The people who had once laughed quietly came up to us with sincere apologies, admitting that they had learned an unforgettable lesson from that single evening. Standing beside Grace that afternoon, I realized that true beauty had never entered the restaurant wearing a certain dress size. It had walked in carrying kindness, courage, forgiveness, and a heart that refused to become bitter despite years of unfair judgment. Those qualities transformed not only her life, but also the lives of everyone willing to look beyond appearances. If this story has touched your heart, please like this video, share it with your family and friends, leave your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more inspiring stories that remind us compassion has the power to change lives. And before this story ends, I have a special request. Please comment with just one word, kindness, if you believe that every person deserves to be treated with dignity and respect, no matter how they look. That blind date was supposed to be the cruelest joke of my life. Instead, it became the greatest blessing God ever placed in my path. Sometimes, the people the world overlooks are exactly the ones who teach us what love, humanity, and real beauty truly mean. And in the end, it was never my reaction that left that room in tears. It was the realization that kindness will always be more powerful than prejudice.